Hello and welcome to I Talk to Ghosts, the podcast that happily explores the light and the dark with you. I'm your spirited host, Jennifer, a professional medium and a teller of spooky stories. Tonight, dear listener, as I promised last week, I will be sharing with you a few darker stories of encounters with the fairy realm. When we think of fairies, we can easily conjure images and stories that tend to have an almost playful and helpful nature. But it would be dangerous to assume that all fairies are benign and have your best interests at heart. There are many accounts of people who have had much more disturbing fae encounters. And those who speak of these experiences are often traumatized as to what has happened to them. That is, providing they can recover enough to even speak about it, because meeting the fae folk can lead to abduction, madness, and some say even death. Even in modern society, warnings still persist. Don't step into the fairy circle, whether it be a ring of mushrooms or a group of ancient stones. Sometimes, though, people actively seek to enter the land of the fairies and deliberately visit a place associated with the good people in order to encounter something magical or seek a gift of some sort. I'm glad you're here with me tonight because I've collected for you a few stories of darker encounters with the fae. Now, this is such a vast topic. If you enjoy it, please let me know, and I can always try a more deeper dive into the dark fae or all the fae in general, so let me know. Also tonight, join me at my seance table where I will open up my space for a message from the spirits. I dedicate this time for a past loved one to come close to deliver a message to someone listening to the podcast. And since you're with me, this message could be for you. That's later on in the podcast. Until then, grab a rowan branch for protection. The fae are arriving right now. I had this black, shapeless entity peek at me from behind the TV one morning, and this was during the day, while bright sunlight was streaming in through the window. It was black, and it had teeny, pinprick white eyes, extremely bright, but its smile was from ear to ear and red. My boyfriend was in the house at the time, sitting next to me. I stared at it and it rushed at me. I was terrified and actually climbed up my boyfriend to stop it touching my feet. And this thing seemed to think that was funny. When it was moving across the floor, it would either be a solid black shape or kind of spinning, and it would continually spiral towards the floor. I saw it a few times. I had no idea what it was. We tried burning sage around the house, and that seemed to make it stay away. But after that, a smaller black thing with no face would sometimes peer at my boyfriend when he was asleep. And sometimes I would see it on the stairs, as if it was waiting for something. I tried the sage again, and I got so frustrated I shouted at it. I actually got so desperate I had thrown something in its direction to try and frighten it, and I saw it leave through the bathroom wall. To make it mostly go away, I had to keep standing up to it. It took a very long time. Visualizations of white light enclosing the house, images in my mind of pushing it out. It seemed very difficult mentally to get it to move at all. It felt heavy. I think it moved into the next house. I noticed the other day that their attic has missing bricks in the wall. I'm worried, but I'm also extremely fascinated by it, and I wonder if it might return. This doesn't feel like a ghost or anything that I'm used to dealing with in my past. I'm really wondering if it's some kind of dark fairy. I have a story of unwelcoming fae, not my account, but my mother's. Her and my stepdad owned a camper van, and they decided to stay one night at a popular walking spot in a national park in South Wales. It's a beautiful walk with waterfalls and many scenic views. As nighttime approached and it became dark, they retired to their van because of an uncomfortable feeling of being watched. They continued their evening inside the van with their 2 dogs. They kept hearing voices outside and thought it was other people. They decided to close their curtains. And then there was tapping on the outside of the van. My stepdad said not to worry, but neither of them dared look out the window because they were sure something would be looking back at them. The tapping and the voices continued to circle the van. Even the dogs were growling and upset. Then it all stopped. When it was time to go to bed, they dared to open the door to let the dogs out one last time for the night. But neither dog would leave the van. They went to bed, and the tapping continued all night. Neither of them slept a wink. As soon as morning light came, they packed up as quickly as possible and left the area. A few years later, my mother met with a spiritual group and was introduced to her spirit guide. He communicated with her about that night and how the Undying had wanted the place to themselves that night for a sacred celebration. Later on, my mother looked up the Undying, only to learn that they were a kind of water spirit. They had been camping by the waterfalls that night. A fairy ring has been growing in my backyard around a tree. I know the lore behind fairy rings, and you know what? I thought, let's see if this is legit or not. I sat in the ring of mushrooms for about 5 minutes before I got bored and I got up. Nothing happened. This morning, I wake up and I notice this black mass just chilling in my room on the ceiling with these multicolored lights. It kind of had spider vibes. It was there for about 5 minutes, just hanging out above me on the ceiling, which just so happens to be the amount of time I sat in the fairy ring. Was I foolish to do it? I figure getting abducted by the fae is better than working a 40-hour work week. Let's try something new. You probably know my medium work by now, but did you know I also love to provide tarot readings as well? I absolutely love the messages the cards can offer of affirmation, inspiration, and guidance. If you are feeling called to see what messages are waiting for you, visit italktoghosts.com to book a reading with me. I can't wait to meet you. Hello and welcome back to I Talk to Ghosts. I have a message from the spirits this evening, so thank you for joining me here at my seance table. Tonight as I work, I have with me myrtle leaves. Myrtle leaves are said to help aid in profound, deep wisdom, and they're also known to be a companion for the dying. So I thought that this would be a lovely herb to work with spirit communication. Myrtle leaves is also said to help with energetic truths and clarity and forgiveness, and it helps us embrace the concept of divine love and how it encompasses and connects us all. So again, that is myrtle leaves. During this time, I like to ground and center, open up the space for spirit to come close. I have with me immediately someone's father. Your father was very stern in life. Not only that, he is admitting he had kind of a bleak outlook on life, a bit of a pessimist, felt very frustrated and blocked by things that happened to him, and it shaped his attitude outside of those circumstances as well. And he was just stern and opinionated with you. And it feels like you are a much more sensitive soul than someone who could brush that off or have a personality that could easily dismiss him and maybe even defiantly go your own way, So I think he's sharing with me that he passed away from throat cancer and that it was really difficult. I don't know if he ever shared this with you in life, but when he lost his voice, he realized how much he should have said in life. He has a clarity now that he wants to share with you, and he's just cutting through everything to get this message to you, that now he sees how wonderful and bright you are, and if there's anything that he can possibly convey that would inspire you to have a fresh start, have a clean slate, and kind of wipe your past away and realize it belongs there in the past. It doesn't belong in the present with you now. And if you're able to do that, he just recognizes how amazing you are and how you should shine, and the spirit that you have to share with others, your creativity, your mind, your passion. And if anything, he wants all of that to shine through you unhindered. He says you have an amazing sense of humor, that your humor was developed as a coping mechanism, but it doesn't have to be. You're just naturally funny and joyful. And his other message to you is he wants you to just get out there, see the world, play, be curious, have fun, experience everything that you want to experience. I think I'm going to leave it at that. I hope this message reaches you and just provides so much encouragement and validation and inspiration. And just do that inner work, whatever is helpful to you to let go of the pains from the past and to live an authentic life that your soul is just meant to have. Thank you. Are you enjoying your spooky visit? Please support the podcast by liking, sharing, and subscribing. The ghosts may be talkative, but they are lousy at marketing, so every click helps. Tell your friends and please leave a kind review so that others may join us. The spirits and I thank you. And with that, dear listener, we've reached the end of this episode of I Talk to Ghosts. I hope you've enjoyed my spirit work that I shared with you this evening. If you are feeling called to book a reading with me, you can head over to italktoghosts.com. I would love to explore what personal messages and connections are waiting for you. And while you are on the website, you can quickly sign up for my newsletter. Occasionally, I will send out a haunted update to let you know what happenings and offerings and events I have going on. And I can truly say I have a lot of interesting ideas brewing, and I hope you are a part of it. So head on over to italktoghosts.com. And also share this episode with a friend if you really enjoyed it and feel like your friend would love it too. And I do hope you enjoyed these darker stories of the Fae that I shared with you this evening. Have you ever had an encounter like these, something similar? I would love to hear about it, so please reach out. In the meantime, wherever you wander off to in this world or the next, just remember, come back and visit with me. Have a lovely evening and good night.